So basically, for today's episode, I'm going to talk about the one of my all-time favorite new anime series I recently watched, Pretty Ribbon Rainbow Live, and I won't be doing this alone. Joining me today is a really good friend of mine from not only the Rainbow Life fandom, but also he covers Pipara, Aikatsu, and also Precure, which is really good things to share in common with. So, I welcome you today to this episode, Cure Ice.
Hey guys, curious, welcome back. I am doing a podcast with my friend Rose Kyle today. Rainbow Live is my favorite season of Pretty Rhythm, so I'm really excited to talk about it.
So, for those of you who may not be aware of, Rainbow Life is the third incarnation of the Pretty Rhythm series, which was preceded by Pretty Rhythm and also Dear My Future. And in the chronological order, it was followed up by Pipara and then Kirata Prechan. Now, everyone is first question wants to know, how did we get into Pretty Rhythm Rainbow Life? Well, for me, after watching Akirata Pre-chan, where I saw the main character from this season, Naru-chan, who is the manager of the clothing brand Dear Crown, and also who is the manager for Ring Mary, which is Maria and Suzu. And I really fell in love with her from when I first saw her, because she was like a fun character to be around, and she also developed a friendly rivalry with Megane, who is the manager of the shop Prismstone, and it was a really great episode to see of how that she was inspired to become an idol and a manager herself, and then I saw her really cute debut song, which I was reminded of well, is there I heard from that from somewhere. And then Curious did a video about the conceptual designs for Rainbow Life in terms of the characters. So I thought, yeah, I think you should definitely give Rainbow Life a chance. So over the past few weeks, I actually watched all of the series. Well, no, basically not all at once because it's kind of ridiculous. But I managed to watch it from into two halves. So from basically the first half of the season, from episode 1 to episode 26, and then for part 2, I watched episode 27 onwards. So yeah, that's how I got into Pretty Rainbow Life. So curious. What inspired you to start watching Rainbow Live?
I discovered Rainbow Live after I had watched Prepara. I was watching performances on YouTube and I saw 7 Days Love, 7 Days Friend. This video really stuck out to me because it was so simple compared to Prepara's lives. The outfits and the choreography seemed really simple. Seeing a song go on for this long was really impressive to me. And after watching it a bunch, I decided that I had to find out the anime this was from. I actually watched Rainbow Live in 3 days. I watched it over a weekend. I still remember what it felt like. Each episode was so new to me because, while nowadays I tend to go in depth with all news that we receive about anime, back then I didn't really look anything up, so everything was genuinely a surprise to me. If I hadn't clicked on that video, I probably wouldn't have discovered anything beyond Prepara.
Hmm, that's pretty interesting. So when it comes to watching Rainbow Live, what was your first impressions of it?
Initially, I thought it was surprisingly unique. Something about the way the character design was handled and the clothes they were wearing made it feel a bit more realistic. Especially at the beginning of Rainbow Live, there's a lot of weird stuff going on, but it's definitely not as weird as Prepara gets. So because I had already seen Prepara, I was really surprised by how down to earth it can feel. And even the song isn't as high tempo or as high in pitch as Prepara and Aikatsu openings. I just kept thinking this is surprisingly grounded, which is a strange thing to say about any pretty series season, but I just found Rainbow Life surprisingly grounded, especially with the themes it tackle, competition, family, and the Rin mystery that we had toward the beginning of the season.
For me, when I first started watching Rainbow Live myself, from the first few minutes of the opening, I knew I was going to be in for a really amazing ride. even though this was like only for like about 52 episodes, um, it really became like one of those anime that you really want to rewatch over and over again. And then when you get introduced to the characters, like you know there's gonna be like some really great character arcs for each of the characters involved, and it also got like a really great balance with other characters, because in every episode you watch, like all of them get a pretty much a chance to shine. And also with the supporting characters involved, like you get to see that they're not going to be like faded into the background like with some other anime that you get like as many characters and it gets too crowded. Um, but
Yeah.
but they all share like a really great balance with all of them. So and also like with the animation style, um, it was like really cute and charming, and I knew they were going to be like for some amazing performances and also really great stories to come. So, which brings nicely on to the next section about the characters themselves. Now, choosing my favorite character was kind of like a hard decision because all of the main characters were really, really, really fantastic, and you actually get to root for them all the way through. But if I had to choose like a top three characters, I would say Naru, Belle, and Otoha. What were your three favorite characters from Rainbow Live?
I would have to say Otoha, June, and Belle. I relate to Otoha a lot because I'm also a very quiet and shy person. And at the time I was watching this, I did also struggle with being honest about my feelings. So Otoha's arc was very relatable to me. I found Belle really inspiring with how hard she worked. That's something that Rainbow Live really did well, portraying both the dangerous sides of overworking, but also the rewards of working hard. Because I won't go into that because it's spoilers, but Belle's conclusion, I found that really incredible from an idol anime for children. The third character would have to be Amo June. I just thought she had a great design, such wild hair. I'm really waiting for another character with such a dynamic silhouette because that hair is the most anime thing I have ever seen. But her backstory was really tragic, and Nth Color is incredible. She has such a mature and husky voice. It's not the same as the others, and to this day, I still don't think there's many other singers in the Pretty series who have such a weight, because I think the voice actress was a bit older than the other girls singing at the time.
Yeah, when I heard June's singing voice and her normal speaking voice for the first time, it was like a really really beautiful performance from her. And when I looked up at the casting list for the anime, I was surprised that she shares the same voice actress as Ompu from Magical Doremi. Because like this is like a really cute magical girl show with with middle school girls. Um, to portray a character who is in an older age range, you can actually tell that she put like a really great portrayal of June as a mature older teenager, and she really put on a
Yeah,
beautiful performance. I relate to Naru very well because like I really like her really in terms of like creativity and also like really like puts forward on what you would want to do into making people smile, and her song really demonstrates that theme pretty well. And also her catchphrase "Happy Naru" was just super adorable. Like
yeah, it was so cute.
yeah, he made me want to like actually say that myself. Um,
Yeah,
Belle Belle was a really great character because like she out of all of the main characters, like she had like the best arc for me because like she wants to be like the top prison queen, as they say in this anime. um
mm,
because you can first see her as like one of the typical idol rivals when you first meet her, but as her story goes on, you get to see like how really 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 working hard that she does in order to get to the top. And also like in her focus episodes you really get to see of like That's without the friends that she made with not only with her teammates Ota and Wakaba, but also with her bonds that she shared with Naru in their development episodes. She really was developed into a really better person as well as a better idol herself, and like her idol song was really epic in terms of the animation and also her duet song with Naru was really epic too. And with Otaha, I also relate to her as well because sometimes I come across as really shy as well, like you do. Um, and also like with her being a fan of fairy tales, um, I love like reading fairy tales when I was younger, and also like wants to bring like that fairy tale cuteness into anything that she does. Um, she also kind of reminded me of Yuki from Smile Precure because, as we all know, that she is another character who really likes the fairy tales, and I can actually see them talking about fairy tales all day long. So that would be like a really cool
Yeah.
crossover concept. Um, and also in the episode where she brought like her own fairy tales to an event at Prism Stone, I like it how like really creative that was in order for her to like really come out of her shell and also to be the idol that she wants to be.
Speaking of Otoha, I really liked that cowboy outfit she wore in the first tournament arc. It was so unexpected, you know, because it's back in Pretty Rhythm, the outfits were really basic, and that's not a bad thing. But I love the cowboy cord that she was wearing in her first performance.
And so this leads on to like the other main characters. Ito, she has got like a really tragic backstory because when you first meet her, like she'll come across as like someone that you really don't want to connect with at first because she had like a huge emotional baggage on her shoulders. We don't want to go in like into more details because this is pretty big spoilers, but when she meets like Nero and Anne and also Bell Otaha and Wakaba, she starts to like to become like more approachable and really brought her out of like the of the tragedy that her family had suffered. And the duo that she did with Otaha was like the crowning moment of her finally moving on from her past. And
Yeah, it was so moving.
yeah, I could. This is like my second favorite song in the entire anime because it's like the concept of like using a fairy tale as sort of like escapism from the sadness that Ita was actually trying to come out of, and the relationship that she developed with Koji was very interesting. Um, because you get to see like a romance that you really haven't seen before, like when you first see Koji, like he's like a talented songwriter, and Ito is like kind of like of embarrassed of like of what a specific song lyrics had to actually mean. Um, so then when we see Bella
Yeah.
listen to the song, you get the answer right away that Koji had developed romantic feelings for her, which was actually pretty sweet. And then unfortunately, I had a temporary breakup because of what happened in Ito's past, which added that connection with Koji's side of the family as well, which was really really sad and made me feel sorry for both of them. But then when everything gets cleared up in the final arc, they were able to actually reconnect with their relationship and also hang out more together as they used to. And one thing,
Speaking of
yeah,
Speaking of Ito and Koji, I just want to talk about how bizarre Hiro's inclusion in their scenes was. Hiro's obsession with Koji's songwriting was very strange to me, and I think having weird male characters like him in the cast really elevates the show comedically, even if it's unintentional. It's kind of similar to Huey in Primagi. He's not really doing anything for the plot, but having him just hang around and do weird things is very entertaining to me.
yeah, Hero when I first saw him, like is it like a is it like a first strange impression on me because you have like no idea of what can you expect from him. Like when you first meet him along with Noah for the first time, I think it was like what was like come across as like a really nice person you want to, get inspired by. But and then
Yeah.
you get to the part where Hiro actually took credit for the song that Koji wrote. Urusha has been for showing it being egotistical, but but basically that wasn't his fault actually because he was manipulating to do so. Because my least favorite character from this anime was the director of Eden Rose Academy, and oh boy,
Norizuki Jin, I believe.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh boy, when I first saw his face and then found out that he was the one responsible for basically all the bad things that happened to the characters in this anime. So like making Hiro take credit for Koji's song, for Hijiri's accident, and also banning certain
Mm,
characters out of the final arc. He he was just being a total jerk. Like I was like waiting for the moment to him get his comeuppance, but luckily DJ Ku, the coolest DJ in anime, actually gave him a huge punch to the face, and even his own father was so disgusted by his actions, he
yeah.
actually dethroned him from his job. So I was like, yeah, take that, you jerk.
While I haven't finished it, I think Jin's actions in King of Prism are so cursed. King of Prism is a strange spin-off. I don't want to derail the conversation by bringing it up, but King of Prism is very confusing, and I can assure you, Jin only gets worse. He does not improve after the arc. He just gets worse in the spin-off.
Yeah, I've seen like a few clips of the King of Prism spin-off, especially where Jin is concerned, and yeah, you were totally right about that because he really, really, really goes downhill from there.
Hmm.
Oh boy,
There's
and
no going up for him.
mm, and also this leads to the other two main characters that we haven't talked about yet, Anne and Wakuba. They have like a really fun dynamic, especially in terms of the comedy between them, and also they have like a shared backstory together because they went to the same school as each other, and also like their duo was actually pretty cool as well because um, even if they expected to have like a clash of personalities, but in some way it totally makes sense because they both have like families who may have have been straight towards them, like with Anne and her family that run run I can't remember what it's called, but with the shop that they run. Especially her dad was saying that she was destined to run the shop while she wants to make dreams of her own. And with Wakaba, on a few occasions that she was in danger of being going overboard somewhere because of her father's job, and which is like a really great way to end Wakaba's arc because the moment where her mother does a complete 180 to our surprise, because you expect her to be this shy and meek mother towards her husband, but and then all of a sudden she turns around and actually gives her own husband the so-called roasting that he really deserved and a huge slap to the face. I was like, whoa,
Best moment. I
yeah.
was shocked.
Yeah, I was basically the same reaction that Wakaba had when she witnessed this because she never expected her mother to like act this way. With
Yeah.
her. Yeah, I was like, what? Oh my god. Um, and then and also which leads to another male character, which is Kazuki. He was actually my favorite male character of this anime because he's like one of those cool skater guys because
Yeah.
he really brings like the main supporter to not only Anna Wakaba but also the girls themselves. Um, and his song was like pretty catchy too because he's like a guy who really embraces freedom, not only in doing like skating but also he's a really good artist.
I thought it was pretty cool too. Though I do think Hero stole the show for me with how weird he was, how he was always in the background of scenes saying cryptic things like when Belle did that one Prism show where I think she failed a jump or something, or she failed to do a Prism live,
Yeah.
and he just broke his glasses so cryptically, or when Ito and Koji shared their first kiss, and it cuts to Hiro behind the fountain watching them. Hiro is such a creep, and I think all his cryptic dialogue made him so entertaining to watch, especially when Ito and Koji went to the hot springs and then he just shows up out of nowhere. I don't think anyone else, or rather any other male character, comes close to what Hiro brought to the show. He was very entertaining, but I did also appreciate Kazuki.
And then it perfectly brings us to the two girls who are known as the prison messengers, Rin and June. Their characters in the series were also really interesting because when we first meet Rin, she it reminded me of like how she was introduced in Chobits, as someone who was like doesn't know how to communicate with people. Um, but when we find out that she was actually a prison messenger, it brought like a whole new perspective. Um, because like in the first moment when you see her in prison world, it was literally falling apart, and also with her memories being wiped. Um, and her interactions with the girls was really adorable because she was starting to learn how to communicate with them. Um, and thus, my favorite moments from her when she says "yo" every time. She does it in a cute way. You can't
Yeah.
help but like saying, "What is so cute?" And then later on, after when June was introduced, you get to understand what is really happening. June is actually quite a tragic antagonist in terms of an idol because she was also a messenger from Prison World, and she kind of like but like so like the greatest taboo in that world, that she fell in love with a human and she didn't want to be apart from him, which we all know is Hijiri, the president of the Prism shows. Um, I I don't know if this was intentional, but I was imagining like the Little Mermaid from this storyline because she basically fell in love with him at first sight, just like with Ariel fell in love with Prince Eric for the first time, and and you get to understand of like she really didn't want to be apart from him, but because of that she broke her prison wings. It caused Rin's memories in prison world to be destroyed in a way, and and
Yeah,
then
I can see that parallel.
and then the and then with the duet or duel, to put it in a sense, um, when they had like the confrontation of that two people from prison world shouldn't like be in the same universe at all. Um, June wants to prove to Rin that that's she wanted to prove that love was real to her, because as we've seen throughout the anime, she developed a close bond with Naru the most, um, and like that was like kind of like a sense of love that Rin couldn't understand the concept, and and after when June tries to push herself to the limit in a final performance, she she completely almost died, which was like really tragic to Hijiri because like he didn't know that June fell in love with him, and it was only at that moment he finally realized that he secretly loved her back. So that was like that was really really sad to me.
Yeah, I think she's probably one of the most tragic antagonists, and she kind of raised the bar for what the seventh character is, because the seventh character in Pretty series is usually really important. June, Ange, Falulu, and in Primagi it's Jennifer. Oh, okay, we don't know enough about Primagi, so I guess I'll just focus on Rainbow Live. I thought that the scene where she ripped off her wings was so gut wrenching because it really did look painful. It looked really tough to rip off her own wings, and I thought, like, this is a little intense, don't you think? Especially when she fell at the end, I thought this show is a lot more high stakes than I would have expected. I wouldn't have expected this walking in. But if you watch the first opening, you'll actually see that there is specific shot where June looks kind of smug and Rin is crying, which serves as foreshadowing for what's gonna happen. I don't believe they had it planned this early, but it is pretty cool that if you watch the first opening, there is some foreshadowing with regard to June being a villain and Rin suffering because of her.
Yeah, and like even though like in a confrontation that even though that the June was nearly fading out of existence, um, Rin put aside her concerns about like if if June was gone and she was gone, like the whole Prism Sparkle would disappear, which unfortunately because of June, the Prism Sparkle disappeared the way it did, and Rin decided to go into June's body in order to protect her. So um, which is kind of like why No didn't win the final competition um because like without the Prism Sparkle, she couldn't do the Prism Live, but she did
Mhm.
get like the only winner position because she was the one who actually brings back the Prism Sparkle, and that is why with Belle, she also becomes the new Prism Queen, and in my opinion, she really deserved it, and because she actually beat June in terms of the prison jump she did, because like throughout her development in the series, um, you know that she worked really hard to make it this far, and there was no stopping her now. So I was really proud of Belle.
It was such a bold writing choice, especially for a kids anime to make the main character lose, but that's just one of the reasons why I respect the writing in Rainbow Live so well. In a sense, they both got what they wanted. Naru did become the manager for Dear Crown, I believe, and Belle did become Prism Queen.
And speaking of the music, let's basically on to our topic. The music in Rainbow Live was really, really, really spectacular. Um, I like how in each of the individual characters, when they did the prison lives, I like how they were connected to a specific musical instrument. Like with Noah, you got electric guitar. With Otaha, you got a saxophone. With Belle, with a violin in channeling her inner Sailor Neptune. Um, with Ita, you get the keyboard, and with the drums, and Wakaba with the xylophone. So that was like pretty unique in terms of how they put the music together because um, like I like how like music and anime in general combined with like sort of like both the traditional and the modern type of music instrumentals. So that was like a really creative touch to like express the characters in their own way, and the songs themselves. All of the voice actors did a really fantastic job of performing them on stage, and it's especially how each of the songs are related to the specific storylines and how far they've come in this series. Um, in terms of my favorite song from Rainbow Live, I have to go with um, let's see, Little Wing, Beautiful Pride, the duet song with No and Belle, because out of all the perfect rivalries turned friends in anime, No and Belle's development was the best for me, because you get to see like of how initially it was started as rivals in the first half of the anime, but as the series goes on, when you follow their individual character arcs and how they influence each other towards the climax, um, they developed like a really strong connection with each other, and that was like a pretty awesome way for this song to illustrate their development.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the song choices for the duet tournament were really good. Alive is such a moving song because it really relates to Ito's character arc with its lyrics about moving on and how we'll collect different kinds of people as we travel through this journey of life. Surprisingly meaningful lyrics for a kids show. I know I sound like I'm looking down on kids shows, but it's literally all I watch, so that's not the case. I really liked Nth Color as well. Such a somber and lonely feeling throughout the whole thing. Seven Days Love and Seven Days Friend is definitely at the top, not just for its length, but how good it is at transitioning between different vibes. Something that I think that a few modern Aikatsu songs could learn from is the fact that even though it's a very long song, it's not the same vibe throughout. The tempo, the instruments in the back, and even the general vibe of the song changes throughout the whole thing rather than just verse, verse, bridge, and then chorus.
And in terms of my favorite individual songs, there was like three songs that I really love to listen to. The first is Naru song, with the Happy Naru inside it. Um, because since I loved it ever since it debuted in Pre-Chan, I knew that this was going to be really more fun to listen to into this anime. And then Belle's song, Get Music, that was like a really epic song that she sang. Um, I didn't notice at the time, but her voice actress is the same voice actress as Iona, aka Cure Fortune, in Happiness Charge Beaker. So when I listened to her voice for the
That's
first time, I was like,
cool.
"Wow, it's Cure Fortune." Um, I know that Leo, aka Magical Cinnamon, would know Cure Fortune was in this, so if he is watching, he'll be really surprised. And then Vanity Color by Osaha. It was like a really cute song for her. Um, Especially like of how it impacts like her story arc. Especially like in the final arc where she is like the first of the girls to perform in the final tournament. Um, and basically I like of how that she was the one to actually calm everyone's nerves about what was happening behind the scenes, and it was like a really satisfying end to her arc, and also like her appeals in the prison jumps in that song were really
Yeah,
cute.
that was such a strong moment and a great way to open the Prism Queen arc. I thought that Otoha finally having the courage to stand on stage as the first performer, but also to a booing crowd and just stick through it. When I watched that, because I did watch this about, wow, I think about 4 years ago, I think, my teenage self really felt a lot of confidence watching someone so shy stand up to a crowd that didn't like them. It was the perfect way to end her arc, and that's what I love about Rainbow Live. The final tournament isn't just, let's recycle the performances. It really is a conclusive point to their arcs, and Otoha starting it off was such a smart choice. You could tell that the characters were worried about her because she was the first to perform and she's shy, and the crowd didn't like her. I hope you are gonna cut some of the mistakes we make as we're speaking. But yeah, I really liked Otoha's performance in the Prism Queen Cup.
What do you think of Belle's song?
Belle's song was pretty good. It's not my favorite by her voice actress because I do like Iona's songs in Happiness Charge a lot more than Belle's songs. It's not that Get Music is a bad song, I just really like how she sounds when she's singing for Iona more than how she sounds when she's singing for Belle.
Okay, that's pretty interesting, and yeah, it's a pretty good point. Um, oh, there's another song that I really love so much was "Gift" by Rin. Um, I like how
Yeah.
how it's like her voice was angelic in that song, and the way that she choreographed her dance moves, it was sort of like being in a ballet, because it really represents that she was like a wandering spirit trying to find a purpose in life. Um, Especially like when she did her first Prism live when doing during Nao's audition, um, people were kind of like surprised that she could sing that really well, and also
Yeah.
being the mysterious girl that she was. And then in the final episode, it was more meaningful um, she she actually had to go back to prison world, but she wanted to leave on a really high note, um, and and even if she wasn't with the girls anymore, they can actually still hear her voice within their minds, especially with that song. Um, and I like how that also in the final episode, which I'm gonna count this as a song, but it's part of my favorite music, where all of the characters did their final prison life together to bring back the rainbow portal to prison world. That was like really epic and satisfying to see all of the girls performing together for one last time, um, along with June, who basically like with her conductor's baton that she did for her prison lives, she was basically like um, like conducting the very orchestra in front of her, which was like a really nice touch, and like if I were to call that I don't know if like many people have like noticed this, but like the first letters of all of the characters, the main characters specifically, have the acronym of Rainbow. So if they had their very own large unit, it would be Rainbow, which actually makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's really smart, and I really like that there were such tiny details. Also, it was very smart of them not to use two shades of blue because that is what the rainbow is like, because there's blue and then there's indigo. But I'm really glad they opted for pink and added white, or rather silver, for June. It's kind of similar to, actually, that's something that the Pretty series has avoided, an actual rainbow, because even when a character is supposed to be rainbow, like Daya, they don't actually use all the colors. It's just really smart design that makes me appreciate how much work goes into these shows.
And also, as I want to bring up, the openings and endings in Rainbow Live were really good. Um, which one would you say was your favorite out of the openings and endings?
I would have to say Butterfly Effect. I just think it's one of Prisme's best songs from that time. The way the lyrics talk about how time has passed and how even small things you do can make a big change really moves me. I think that the final shot with Naru feeling really down before her friends come to get her really warms my heart. It's a great way to finish the season. I really do like the other three. Boy Meets Girl is really catchy. Easy to Dance is not my favorite, but I do like the visuals because the visuals do some clever storytelling. And Crazy Gonna Crazy is the opening that I always forget because it's not the final one and it's not the second one, so it slips my mind because you always remember the first opening and the final one, and then you remember the second one because it's what replaces it, and you're like, oh, new opening, but opening number three is one I forget a lot. It's surprisingly sad for its upbeat tempo, but overall, I'd have to say my favorite opening is number four, Butterfly Effect.
Yeah, I have to agree with the fourth opening being my favorite as well, because like I really like how, because since we're like going into the final arc, the every time when you have like a new opening, the it has to be connected to of how the next part of the anime story is gonna go, and
Yeah.
Butterfly Effect really shows this really well, especially going to like the final arc of this anime, and I really agree with the part that about Naru being lifted by her friends when she feels down. Like that really warmed my heart too. Um, and so this is my favorite ending. I have to choose I Want to Be Myself because um, I like how like all the cute visuals from all of the characters in that ending. Because basically like with the other endings, because I know that one of them was a live action ending, and also in with the first one, it was mainly featuring the mascots, I think. Um, but I Want to Be Myself really shows that they it serious develops the theme of the being the person that you really want to be and being yourself, doing what you love doing. So yeah, so I choose that one as my favorite ending. Basically, if you want to introduce someone to Rainbow Live, which episodes would you recommend to actually gain into the anime?
I think that I would probably have them watch I think the first tournament, because that's not a major spoiler. You can watch the first tournament and still enjoy your viewing experience. It gives you a really good idea of the themes being explored, how the rivalry is going to be handled. I would also tell them to watch episode 9, the one where Anne and Wakana compete and the wager that whoever loses is going to have to stop doing Prism shows. I think that's a really fun episode too because it explores Rin's mystery and it gives you a good idea of the characters without really spoiling anything. Outside of that, I worry about recommending anything beyond the second tournament or into the 20s because that's when the show starts to give a lot of characterization and there's a lot of development happening. So if you haven't watched the first few, like the first 13 episodes, you're going to be very lost. But that would be my recommendation list.
If I were to recommend to get someone to into Rainbow Live, I would have to choose the. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'll probably go with the first tournament arc as well because you get to understand the characters and how the rivalries are gonna go. I also recommend the episodes where Otaha was briefly expelled from a team with Bell and Wakaba. Um, she temporarily goes to join No and an Ito at Prism Stone, and I also like where she did the tea party. That's like a really cool episode to recommend because you get to see more of of Otaha's personality and why she loves fairy tales so much, and also getting the experience from working at Prism Stone with Nao and an Ito and Rin. It gives her like a whole new perspective of where she goes to actually do her very first Prism life. So that's like a good episode to start off with, as well as the first tournament arc. And
Yeah.
and also I also like the episode where you get to see who Momo truly is, as one of the main mascots in the group. Because when you first meet her, like you may think she's an ordinary human character, but it turns out that she is actually a mascot in disguise. Um, and the moment where the girls get to see Momo's true identity with the robot body that she built, and their reactions was just hilarious. And it also like really terrifying at the same time because they were like, oh my god, they were actually it's actually dead. But it turns out that
Yeah.
it's actually the mysterious Kappa that Anne calls her. So yeah, that's like another good episode to get into Rainbow Life. So yeah, there's definitely recommendations.
Fun, fun but cursed fact. In King of Prism, it's implied that DJ Koo and the Penguin lady have a child because there's a shot toward the end where DJ Koo is holding a baby and the baby seems to be like a human penguin mascot hybrid. Kinpri is very confusing. I don't even know if this counts as a spoiler because what does it really affect? It's just thrown in at the end because someone probably wanted to confuse the audience more. I don't know, King of Prism really takes these characters to in very strange directions. But yeah, I just thought you might want to know that they do end up together somehow.
Oh man, that is gonna be
That is
mind blowing for them.
strange.
Anyway, so in conclusion, Pretty Rhythm Rainbow Live is probably one of the best idol animes I've seen. It's actually in my top favorite anime of all time because even though it's like one season, the story was evenly paced out and also well developed. All the characters get their amazing chance to shine. The animation and the music and the fashion um, it really hits the mark in all the right ways, and it's a basic. And I recommend it as a good anime for anyone who wants to get into like musical anime.
Yeah, I think Rainbow Live does have really solid writing. It's one season, it doesn't waste time. You know, it really just hits the sweet spot of like really good writing, really good characterization, and honestly, incredible lore. It seems like Primagi is gonna give us a lot more lore this season compared to Pre-Chan. which is something I'm very excited about. It seems like they want to tap into those magical roots that Rainbow Live laid down.
Hmm. Yeah, I gotta get started into watching Pre-Magi because I've seen like a few clips of it and it looks like a pretty amazing anime. So I'll definitely get into it since we got like more episodes since it first aired. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like episode 21 right now.
Ah, right. It's like a bit of catching up to do. Um,
Yeah.
so so Kirais, I really want to thank you for joining me in discussing Rainbow Live. Um, so how can people find you if they want to check out more of your content?
You can find me on YouTube. I upload videos on Precure, Aikatsu, and the Pretty series. I also have a Twitter and a Tumblr account. I will admit I'm more active on Tumblr, even though I tweet pretty much every day. Lastly, if you'd like to see exclusively my art, you can check my DeviantArt, which is LumaDrew. It didn't let me change my username, and I made that account years ago. But don't worry, my art is still posted on Twitter and Tumblr, so if you follow those, you will be up to date with what's happening.
Cool. So if you want guys wants to check Curice and all of his work and supporting his channel, I'll put all the links to his social media in the description, and I will also put a link to his design diary of the character concept art for the characters in Rainbow Live, which is pretty interesting to watch, as you get to see like how each of the characters was developed in the design stages, which is um which is really a great way of getting into if you were going to do design your own characters. That's like a really good video to check out. So until next time, this is Rose Pow and Cure Ice. See you later, everybody.